Hi, it's Rana, and today I have a layout that I have on the Pretty Little Studio blog. This layout is a design team layout, and I am working with Comfort and Joy collection and doing a little Christmas in July layout. So I had an idea that I wanted to use this paper and I wanted it to be green. So I took some Distress Oxide Rustic Wilderness and I'm blending that on, just using a plain little blending brush. And I'm getting this first layer of color down. And I really didn't need to do as much as I did, but I was having so much fun with it. I just was kind of playing along. This first layer, it doesn't matter when you're doing some blending like this. It doesn't matter if there's some streaks, and you can kind of see right in the middle there that there's some darker areas and lighter areas. But this is just our first layer. So I was kind of comparing it with the colors that are in the paper that I plan to use. And I knew I needed something more bluey green. So I went and grabbed some Distress Oxide in Pine Needles. And so I'm doing another layer over the Rustic Wilderness with that. And that is kind of filling in some of those areas, giving us that kind of bluish green that I knew I needed. And we're going to get that blended in here. The second layer never takes as long. You get that first base color down and then the second layer goes pretty quick. Now I went back in one more time over it with the Rustic Wilderness again, and you can see here how gorgeous this looks. It's just the black from the printed paper, all the little trees and the houses, they are still showing up perfectly. And actually even the tan colored houses and things that are in here, you can tell that they're tan even when the green is over it. It still looks really good. So I went ahead and added in some splatters, and being Distress Oxide as it is, when you add water over Distress Oxide splatters, you kind of remove some of the color. It takes some of the color out. It resists and you get this cool look. Well, I was adding in green, not even thinking that it's going to do just like it did water, but it did. Happy accident. I really like how it looks. So I set that off to dry, and I'm going to work on what I want to do, what my ideas were for the rest of this layout. So I had several scraps of paper, and these are some of my favorites, so I wanted to kind of see how they would work in here. I have this little frame that fit absolutely perfectly over this photo that I wanted to use, so I'm just tacking that down just so that I can move it around as I'm deciding as one piece. So I just use a little Scotch tape and tape it on the back there. All three of these pictures are going to be popped up here shortly, but for right now I'm just kind of trying to decide. I love this paper, and I like the tan, that neutral behind my photos. The photos are not the best quality because we were inside the train and they had their lights on and it was evening, and so you kind of, the quality of the photos are not the best. And having these colors, these neutral colors, these tans and greens, made it look as good as they can look. Not every photo is perfect, right? So I did the best I could with what I had, and I want the kids to be able to remember this little trip that we took. So that stripe across the top was pink. And it was just kind of bothering me. I didn't love it. I knew I wanted to use this other paper anyway. I was trying to decide how I was going to use that. And I thought, well, I'm just going to, because the pink in the middle of the paper is being covered up by the photos, the pink at the top just seemed like it was out of place. So I just ripped it off. And I'm going to use this paper that was, kind of had all the colors from the rest of what is showing. And I just go ahead and place that down, and I'm lining this up. You can't tell because the bottom of it is cut off down there, but there's lines on my glass mat, and I just line something like this up so that it's nice and straight, and then I can take my trimmer and cut it down so that it's 12 by 12 again. So that worked out great. I like how that looks, and the pink is no longer distracting. And then I decide, do I want to use some more of this in here? But I really liked how this one looks, so I'm going to try and rough up the edges of it and make it distress like I was doing at the top. You can see that I added a little extra distressing over there so that I wouldn't cover up that super cute little bird. I think some of the first things that really drew me to the Pretty Little Studio collections were all the little critters that are in her lines in different places. I love them. They're so cute. And they just, I don't know, I just love them. So I always try and feature them in some way with each new collection that has them in there. So I think they're a lot of fun, and they work great for these photos with this Christmas little whimsical feel. So the tickets that I just put up there are actually called Polar Express cut-aparts. So perfect, right? So I added those up there, and I am looking at a little frame. I'm trying to bring in just a little bit more of the yellow because this layout is kind of all about, I'll have several layouts for sure, but this one is kind of all about the little golden ticket that we receive, and it has a part to play in the story. So I'm kind of wanting a little bit more of that yellow. And I liked that bird, but it didn't really go. He's so cute with his little red hat on, and I did want to get a few more touches of red. Not a lot, but a little, because it's in some of the paper, and I wanted just a little hint of red in this. One of the tickets is kind of a washed out red, and there's a little bit of red in a couple of other places on some of the background papers. Not the main paper, but the others. So I was looking for a little red, but anyway, I chose this bird because it kind of looked more like it went with the bird that was up in the top. So I went with that one, and I'm kind of placing some other things. The little tag that I'm using has those same trees that were in the paper that I just turned green. And so that little tag is a nice little accent over there, and it's gonna stay there. I add the that label, and I know I want to add like a little phrase or something over there, but I'm also thinking those hearts would make a nice addition over there too. So I haven't committed, and I'm just moving on. I am pretty committed to the yellow frame. Where it's just covering up some dead space in that photo, and then it made a really good base for my hot chocolate and cookies, which have to go on here, of course, because it's the Polar Express. So I know that those are going to stay there. And then I'm deciding on a little cluster down there at the bottom, and you're seeing right there I opened my second package of these trees. I had used some, and so when I was ordering my last order, I thought, oh, I'm going to need more of those. I love these trees. They're so cute. So I had to place another order for trees because I still have so many Christmas pages I still want to do with this collection. I ordered a few more papers. I ordered some 8x8s because I do 8x8 books as well at Christmas time. So I added some more trees in there. And then here's just a whole package of those little critters, and they are so cute. The phrases, and I'm trying to read through all of those quickly and see if there's anything that really stands out that I want to use on that label. And I can't decide on anything, I don't think, at this point. I keep looking at it, but I'm not really sure what I want yet. So I'm going to cut away here in a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and glue down. I add, like I said, fun foam behind the photos, and I'm going to go ahead and glue some of the pieces that I know for sure, like the layering pieces, the photos, and the cookies and hot chocolate there. So I've done that now, Oh, I guess I haven't glued down the hot chocolate and cookie die cuts yet, but they're going on here now. Okay, so the photos are already popped up, so I just added a little layer of foam tape where it's not over top of the photos. And then on this cookie, I want it popped up as well, so I'm adding one layer of the foam tape over the whole thing, and then I'm adding a second layer over just the part that is going to be touching all the way down so that it's even. So it's even, it's a little bit higher than the cup and the photos, so it gives me that one extra layer. And then of course for this little cookie, it has to match up to the Christmas tree cookie, and then so it has to have a double layer too because it's just right there at the bottom. So the two cookies are the same height, and then the cup is the same height as the photos. I hope that makes sense. So there's my little tag that I decided to use, and I'm going to poke a hole in that and get it stuck down. I haven't decided yet what twine or anything that I want in it yet, so it's just going down like it is, but the hole's there so that when I do decide, it's easy just to add in at the end. So now I am going to come back to this. It's dry. It didn't take long for it to dry, but I was going to do some of the other things while I waited for it to dry anyway. So I cut that part off, and I keep the rest of the paper there so that I can use that on another project. And actually I didn't use all of this, and so I'm keeping it too because I love how it turned out and it matches absolutely perfectly. So you're going to see here I have pulled out a whole bunch of letters, and these are Tim Holtz, they're Sizzix Thinlits letters. I don't know the name of the font, but I can let you know. If you want to know, then just leave me a comment and I'll get right back to you on the name of the letters. I bought them at Hobby Lobby. I don't think it's anything too difficult to get your hands on. So I'm strategically placing these so that they're going over the trees in places, and a star like right where I know the E is going to show, because on this font the centers of the center of the O is not popped out, the center of the E is not, it's all part of the letter. So I know that those places are going to show a little bit of the paper. So, and here it kind of slid on me, and that one letter was not going to be cut right, so I had to rearrange it, and then I'm going to run that through. If you don't have this little sidekick and you like to do letters like this, I love this thing. It works perfectly. You can really manage it a lot easier when you have that tiny little machine, and it's great for little letters and things like this. I take it every time I go to a little crop or whatever. So the letters were stuck in there, but there's little holes on the back of each of the letters, so it's easy to just pop those out, and I use that little pokey tool to do that. And I cut away so you didn't have to see all of that. And now I am getting my title kind of sorted out a little bit, and the green is going to be part of my title, part of this little phrase that I'm using, and then I'm going to pull in some alphas, some little, let's see, I think these are citrus twist alphas that I've had forever. They don't stick anymore, and I really want them to be used up. So I am using them when I can on a long title or whatever, because I have to glue every one of them down, and that drives me crazy. So here's the letters I'm talking about. I have several different little alphas like this because I do like little alphas, but I also love to be able to make my own with dies. So it's kind of fun to have a mixed font title. That's what I'm doing here. I'm getting some letters used up that I want to get out of my stash, but I'm also using for the big part, the main focus of my title is the paper that I was able to make green, and I love how that's looking. So I've got the first little bit, and I'm going to have to rearrange it, so I go off camera after I do a little surgery on a letter to make some punctuation, since the alpha letters never have punctuation, and I can't not have a comma when a comma is called for, right? So I have to do a little surgery on one of them, which when you're doing those little foam letters, it's pretty easy to cut that apart and make it work for you. So now all of that top line is glued down, and Polar Express is also glued down. So now I'm just placing these last few letters in here to reveal the quote from the movie. And it says, "Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express." So I love how that turned out. I like that it's like a big feature, and kind of tells part of the story, right? It is part of the movie, and I thought that was really fun to add that in there. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up with these embellishments. Still looking at this phrase sheet, and then I kind of go through because I can't decide and see what else I want to add. I wanted a deer down here. And there's one deer that has the little silver bells around its neck, and that would be perfect because at the end of the Polar Express, Santa brings everyone the first present of Christmas, which is a silver bell. And so I kind of wanted that on there, but it wasn't going to work. It was just too big. Even the little stickers were too big. So I end up using a different little deer, which is super cute, and then I found a little, I think it's a chipmunk or a squirrel, probably a chipmunk. And I placed him up in the trees on top of Y, and so he's going to stay there, and the rest of these embellishments are quickly getting popped up and placed down where they're going to live. I've pretty well made all of my decisions at this point, and I'm just getting it stuck down. The only thing left, I think, is trying to decide on a quote, and you're going to see in the final pictures the little quote that I chose was yellow, and then when I added my splatters at the very end, I had a big splat right over part of the word. So that got taken off, and the actual layout, which you will not see in the final pictures because I didn't realize it had the big splat on it until after I had taken the pictures. But what it ended up being is tonight's Christmas special, and I kind of stacked it, and I like that much better than what I had chosen anyway, so it all worked out in the end. So I'm getting that one down with the yellow, although I still hadn't decided for sure where I wanted it because it kind of didn't fill up the space on the label, and I just wasn't sure I loved it, but I stuck it there because the hearts were going to take up the rest of the space anyway. So I thought, well, it's fine. I'll leave it. I like having words on the little labels sometimes. So I wanted that there. And then I got the big splat of black on it when I was doing my sprinkles, my little splatters. Oh, and I did have these two little postage stamps, and I really like them, and they kind of did tell the story. It's still that same deer with the little silver bells around its neck and Santa. But I decided it wasn't adding anything over there. Yes, it goes with my story and it's going to add to the story part of it, but this is not the only page of this. So I have several more pictures that I'm going to be adding in his book, and Santa, a page with Santa being in the pictures is also going to be there. So, and then a picture of them with their bells. So I thought, well, I don't love it over here, so I'm just going to wait and add that on the next page. that will be beside this one in this book. So I went with the stitches because I'm not adding any hand stitching on here, and I started with one of the yellow ones, but it just really got lost on that tan. So I peeled it back off and it did fine. It didn't rip the paper or anything, so that was lucky. And I went with these little black stitches, and I just went under, are they black or are they the green? I think they're the black. So it just went under the polar and the express part, and I stopped where the P was so that I didn't go over it. And I like how that looks, and it kind of really gives a little extra statement to Polar Express. It just makes it stand out a little bit more. And then here's my black splattering, and I am using, I believe it's the Dina Wakley black. I use the white a lot, and I believe this is just the black that's the same thing, the acrylic. So I get that splattered. I'm loving how all of that looks. And see, I can see it now because it's like a sore thumb. I can see it right in there, but I didn't notice it when I was taking my pictures. I didn't notice it until I was all done. So these are all of my close-ups. I appreciate you so much joining, and here you can see where the letters really show up, what was underneath the ink, and I love how that looks. But as I was saying, I appreciate you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, like the video, and come back and join me again for the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.